We don't usually think of Michael Jordan and LeBron James as people who are slighted for honors and awards. LeBron is a 4-time MVP and 4-time NBA Finals MVP to boot. Meanwhile, MJ is a 5-time MVP and 6-time NBA Finals MVP as well. But sometimes, even the most prominent stars get cheated out of awards. Maybe we get sick of seeing the same people win every single time. That is understandable, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve it. Let's look at a couple of cases where the most prominent stars were cheated. The voters are a panel consisting of sports media personalities such as writers and broadcasters from throughout the United States. Oh, and Ontario, Canada, of course. There are a total of 100 voters. Each voter chooses their top 5. The point scale awards 10 points for each full selection. Then 7, 5, 3, 1 for the subsequent 4 placements. Once all the points are tallied together, the individual with the most significant overall number is the MVP. The main problem with the MVP award is that there is no guaranteed definition of who deserves it. We generally equate the award winner with the best player in the NBA. But that isn't literally what the award means. Most valuable indicates the player who means the most to their team. So sports writer Sopan Deb said it should be given to the players who do the most with the least around them. That makes sense in terms of overall value. After all, if you are already on a very good team, there isn't much you can add. That is the rule economists call diminishing marginal utility. The better your team is, the less it needs your contribution. So in this scenario, someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander would be a natural candidate for the MVP award. But not everyone agrees with that definition. To some, the MVP is simply the best player. Indeed, a school of thought charges that if a team is not very successful, its best player does not deserve the MVP award. The logic is that your team would do well if you were that valuable. But is the MVP always the deserving player? The average MVP winner seems to be a compromise between these two approaches. It is usually a player on a very good team, where the award winner seems to carry an inordinate weight in the franchise's success. The role that guys like Derrick Rose, Allen Iverson, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Dirk Nowitzki played on excellent teams are good examples of this approach. Sometimes players don't get the awards simply because we are kind of sick of them. For example, Russell Westbrook was the MVP in 2016-17 for averaging a triple-double. That is pretty impressive, right? But when Russell did the same thing in 2017-18, he wasn't shortlisted. It just felt like his moment had passed. So there is definitely an element of fashion and a bit of that whose turn is it now element to the MVP award. Meanwhile, the best player in the league could conceivably be from a mediocre team. But then they are unlikely to receive the award. NBA writer Howard Beck has voted in countless award seasons and explains, historically, the MVP in the NBA has come from a team that mattered. The player had a dominant season for a team that mattered, which could be loosely defined as having 50-plus wins and being top 2 or top 3 in the conference. In 1997, the sports writers decided in their infinite wisdom to award the MVP to Karl Malone. The mailman won 986 points, while the Bulls superstar notched 957 overall. No one else was even in the ballpark, with Grant Hill and Tim Hardaway getting less than half the total of the frontrunners. Michael Jordan was, to put it mildly, somewhat upset. MJ later said, "I'm not saying he wasn't deserving of it. All I am saying is that it fueled the fire for me." So I said, "You think he is the MVP? Okay, fine, no problem." Here is the real reason Jordan lost that year. It wasn't because Malone played better. He certainly didn't. Instead, it's because MJ's season was slightly worse than 1996. The previous year was historic, wherein the Bulls put in one of the best performances ever. They won 72 games, as Jordan averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jordan won 109 first-place votes. The only surprising element is that 4 people voted against him. In 1997, the Bulls won 69 games, and Jordan kept a very similar stat line. But his rebounds per game dropped to 6. not much of a difference. Maybe Malone was just better. Okay, but did Malone just improve enough to overtake Jordan? First, let's take a look at what the mailman did in 1997. His stat line was incredibly impressive, standing at 27.4 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 4.5 assists per game. But this was not a career year for Karl, one of the most fantastic forwards ever to play the game. In 1996, he put up a similar line of 25.7 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. So was that really different enough to warrant the difference between winning an MVP and losing one? Maybe. But what if I told you that Malone finished 7th in the voting in 1996? He was below the winner, Jordan, David Robinson, Penny Hardaway, Hakeem Olajuwon, Scottie Pippen, and even Gary Payton. Then the following year, Jordan won despite Malone enjoying an even better year in 1998. Karl had 27 points again, but this time collected over 10 boards on average. But this time, Jordan took the MVP easily. It's clear that the sports writers felt in 1997 that it was Malone's turn to win. The fact that Jordan had a slight, almost meaningless regression gave them an excuse to give the award to someone else finally. But we all know Jordan was better than Karl in 1997, and any other year for that matter. How LeBron lost the 2011 MVP award. Today, many people believe that LeBron should have won that 2011 MVP award. However, the King finished 3rd in the voting behind winner Derrick Rose and runner-up Dwight Howard. If we look at the award as purely statistical, LeBron has a robust case despite his relatively poor showing in votes. He had a haul of 27 points and 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. These are easily the most impressive numbers any player put up that year. On the other hand, how did winner Derrick Rose stack up? He scored 25 per game, passed for 7.7 assists, and took over 4 rebounds. So, Rose had an advantage in assists, and it was very minor. So why didn't LeBron win? James had won the award 2 years running, in 2009 and 2010, and the prevailing assumption was that he would win it many times in the future. But LeBron was not particularly popular that year. It was his first season with the Heat, and his decision to go on ESPN and record a special where he decided which team he was moving to was poorly received. In addition, many were unimpressed that he was joining a strong team that would make it easy to win further titles. Did Rose really deserve the MVP? Meanwhile, Derrick Rose won accolades for propelling the Bulls to an incredible season. Indeed, Chicago finished with a better record than the Heat, and Derrick was, without a doubt, the engine of that overperforming team. So, if we look at the MVP as determining the player most important to their team, Rose has a good case. The best help the man had on the team were Luol Deng and Carlos Boozer. Joakim Noah was injured for a lot of the season. Nonetheless, LeBron was the best player in the NBA that year. He was overlooked because no one felt particularly generous towards James that year. But while sports writers can be fickle, the judgment of history is clear. LeBron and MJ have gone down as two of the greatest, if not the two absolute greatest players in the history of the NBA. Jordan and LeBron have also won 10 titles between them. What about Rose and Malone? We all know the answer to that. At least they have those MVP awards. However, they did not necessarily deserve them.